292. It says here, an equation in standard form is easy to expand and write it to general form. That's super easy. We did that in our example before. But when it's in general form, unfortunately, general form is basically useless for telling us useful information. We don't know what the vertex is. We do know if it opens up or down, but we can't find anything else easily. So then we would want to change it from general form to standard form. And this can be done with a completing the square method, very similar to what we did with an equation solving, but it is different. So I actually use different names, and at the bottom of the page, so this will be our steps. Changing to standard form, y equal, I'll write it out, x minus p squared plus q, because knowing what standard form looks like actually tells you the hints for the steps you should do. And then I'll just put in brackets here. And we're going to use a method very similar but slightly different to the completing the square that we did for solving equations. So what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to have steps, and on this side in green, I'm going to take an example and actually do it as we do the steps. So step number 1. So knowing what the standard form looks like, there's like the a value is all by itself. So step 1 actually makes sense. My a value is 2. I want that in front all by itself. I need a q value, so I can keep my plus 1 afterwards. That's perfectly fine. And taking the 2 out, that gives me an x squared perfectly, and factoring a 2 out of the 8 gives me plus 4x. That is step 1. Step 2. We're going to leave spaces, and this time our spaces are going to be on the same side, and complete the square. Well, if it's going to be squared, and I have an x squared plus 4x, that's the hint. There's only one thing that can give me an x squared. That has to be an x. And if you FOILed something out, if you distributed everything, and you got a plus 4x, this has to be a plus 2. And you might remember the shortcut, the pattern that always happens is that number is always half of that number. So but if we do that x plus 2 squared, there needs to be a number in that first blue space. If I multiply x plus 2 times x plus 2, I will get x squared plus 4x plus 4. But now I've added something to that side of the equation, so I have to quickly subtract it so that it balances out. But what have I actually added? maybe I'll put on here in red. Don't forget to distribute, because by adding that 4 there, the number one mistake is people would put a -4. But you haven't actually added 4. That 4 got hit by the 2. You've actually added 8. So to compensate, I need to subtract 8. And then simplifying, and now I have the standard form. I could graph it quickly. I know where my vertex is. I could quickly find my range. There's a lot of things that you can quickly find if you have vertex form. If you have general form, you know if it opens up or down. You can't find the range easily. You can't find the vertex easily. Y-intercept is pretty nice. That's about it. So the general form isn't as helpful. So here are the steps to change it. If we think about what we want, right, you want it to look like this. That's telling you we need to complete the square. It tells you you need to factor out the a value. And then the rest of it is like, well, if I fill in a space, I have to compensate. What have I actually added? How does that work? And we're going to do a bunch of examples. We'll go to example 1 right now. Okay? And for each of these, well, the vertex is easy if it's in this form. So how could I change it to be in that form? Well, first of all, I'll factor out the 3. And I'll factor it out of, that's always going to be super easy. You're always going to factor out the a value, will always leave you with x squared. If you take the 3 out of the -12, can you see that you would have -4? So step 1, factor that out. Step 2, leave your spaces. And then complete the square. That -4 is the hint. It's always going to be half, so it's going to be -2. Step 3, fill in your spaces. If it's an x minus 2 squared, can you see that here there would need to be a +4? To compensate, it's not going to be -4, because that, right? Remember that this means you've actually added 12. So to compensate, I'm going to need to subtract 12. And simplify. 7 minus 12 and minus 5. There's my there is my standard form. So I know that my vertex is 2, -5. And we know a lot about this graph. We could graph it really easily now. We know the vertex. We know that it's opening up. Because we know the vertex, we know the range. And we could graph this easily. Okay, so take some time now to try questions 3, 4, 5,